Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Nazir Ahmad and I am from Pakistan. Today we will learn about tips for effective figures. These tips have been written by David A. Cook and he has affiliation with Mayo Clinic Online Learning USA and Mayo Clinic College of Medicine USA. Let's start. Consider whether the figure is really necessary. The information density, information per square inch, should be greater than just putting this information in the main text or in a table. Note that the effective visual display of information can efficiently communicate key relationships, but often at the sacrifice of potentially useful information, for example, specific numeric results. Such trade-offs should be carefully considered and minimized as much as possible. The information should complement rather than duplicate information available elsewhere in the manuscript. Create a brief but explanatory legend or caption. Carefully select the data. Not all data are equally important, and thoughtfully organize the data to communicate a clear message. Follow established guidelines and norms for specific figure types. For instance, participant flow diagram for experimental studies or study flow diagram for systemic reviews. Ensure that the figure can be easily interpreted without reference to the main text. Ensure that the visual metaphor of the figure accurately reflects both the data and the intended message. Avoid perceptual distortion. The visual representation of numbers should be directly proportional to the numerical quantity. Ensure that all scales, for example, x and y axes, are consistently used and correctly proportioned. Disproportionate scaling, for example, scales that vary irregularly along the axis, scales that do not start at zero, and nonlinear scales can be misleading and should be used with restraint and always made explicit verbally or visually in the legend or in the figure itself. Organize and order information to facilitate accurate and intuitive interpretation, emphasize relationships, differences, patterns, interactions that most clearly communicate the central message. Provide sufficient information to allow interpretation in context. For instance, historical data, comparison group, reference range clearly indicate factors, for example, design changes, or historical events that might influence data. Keep the figure simple, clean, and free of extraneous detail. Avoid using special effects, for example, 3D effects, shading, and layered text. The data to ink ratio provides one approximation of the clarity of presentation. High ink, which leads to a lower ratio, suggests unnecessary clutter that can obscure the message. Verify that all data are accurate and are plotted accurately. Use lettering that is dark enough and large enough to read and compatible in size with the rest of the figure. Explain all line, symbol, and color styles, text emphasis, bold, italics, and abbreviations in the legend or caption. Keep abbreviations consistent with the main text. Define all abbreviations so that the figure can stand alone. Consider using grayscale or black and white rather than color. Color should only be used if the print version of the figure will appear in color. Even if the print figure is published in color, remember that it will usually be black and white if printed by a reader. Varying the symbol, triangle, circle, square, solid or open, or line style, solid, dash, dotted, line or heavy, may be more clear than varying colors. Consistently apply formatting. Within a figure, consistently use line, symbol, and color styles, text emphasis, bold, italics, and abbreviations across figures. Prepare parallel, that is, adjacent or equally important figures according to the same scale. Apply similar formatting for all figures in the manuscript. Follow all journal specific instructions on figure creation, including figure resolution and file format. For example, JPEG, TIFF, and PNG files. Refer to the figure in the text. Place the figure in manuscript according to journal instructions, that is to say, appended at the end, embedded in the main text, or submitted as a separate file. Thank you so much for watching and listening my presentation. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon button. If you want to read in detail these tips written by the author, you can go to this link. This is the DOI. Copy this link and search in the search engine. Thank you once again.